And welcome back, everybody. Our next guest is the founder and CEO of Equilibria Incorporated, and joins us for a look at her work in business infrastructure, as well as lots of other things. We'll let you know more, like right now. Here's Alicia Butler Pierre. We welcome you to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
All right. So tell us what you're doing with this.
So my company is Equilibria. We are an operations management firm. We basically help fast-growing small businesses scale with less pain.
Operations management firm.
Yes.
What does that exactly do?
Glad you asked that question because so many people don't know what that means. But we actually help you set up your processes and systems so that as you start to grow and you need to hire more people, you can have the processes and systems to make sure that your products and services still remain consistent, that they're delivered consistently without your customers getting angry, and you can scale. That's what we mean basically when we say scale with less pain.
Scale with less pain.
Exactly,
I like that.
yes.
So you're reaching out to people who have small businesses?
Yes.
Basically?
Yes,
Yeah.
fast-growing small businesses. And it's so funny because a lot of people, they forget that companies like Facebook and Google and all of
Started
these,
off as a small business.
They started
yeah.
off as small businesses, yes. So it's very possible to go from working in your garage or basement to having a multi-billion-dollar company within your lifetime.
Yes.
Yes, but you have to have the operations
You
in
have
place.
to have the operations in place.
You must have the operations in place.
And you can help with that.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. And what's interesting, there's so many resources out there that talk about growing a small business, and that's usually from a marketing and a promotions perspective. But what happens when you've done such a great job with your marketing and promotions that now you have more business than you can handle? But if you don't have that's where operations comes into play.
And you have to hire more people.
Exactly.
And then you got payroll
Yes,
and all those things that you can
yes.
take care of or you can help with.
Yes, help set up those systems so that they know exactly how to execute on all of those different things.
Yeah, I think that's what frightens a whole lot of people too when they want to start a business, because, you know, in whatever you want to do in life, you have to get the knowledge of what to do, what to say, how to be.
Exactly.
And how does this thing work?
Right.
So, but then that dark area frightens a whole lot of people off. So you can create some awareness on that.
That's exactly right. And so with my podcast, for example, it's called the Business Infrastructure Podcast. So every week we have a different guest come on and talk about what goes on behind the curtain, you know, gives very specific details of how they were actually able to take their companies to the next level. So every guest comes on and provides at least 3 resources.
3 resources?
Yes, that's the requirement of each guest. Because to your point, there is that dark gray area. We don't know what we don't know. So if you already have success in one particular area, please by all means come on and share it with us.
Yeah.
So that we will know what to do when we find ourselves at that point where
What
we're
made
ready
you
to
want to
take.
Start something like this?
Well, my background is actually in chemical engineering.
Oh, all right. All right, you made a U-turn.
Big jump, right? And I always knew I wanted to have my own company. And it started off actually as an organizing company because I through a period of self-reflection, I was thinking, well, what am I naturally really good at?
Yeah.
And I've always
Just a
been
different mix, but go ahead. Yeah.
Very organized. Well, here's where the chemical engineering part comes into play. So when I worked as a chemical engineer, I was a process engineer. So I was working in a lot of oil refineries and chemical plants. So whenever, let's say, a barrel of oil doesn't meet a certain specification, I had to go and figure out what went wrong in the process of producing that particular barrel for it to be off spec. And I just apply those same principles now when I'm working with small businesses.
So what do they do with that barrel that was off spec? Did they throw it out?
You
Did
have-
they re-refine it, or?
Oftentimes it does have to be thrown out. There are companies that might be unscrupulous and keep going.
Somebody can use it for something else?
Right, and honestly, a perfect example is think of how many times we have recalls on different parts of an automobile or the Samsung, I think it was a Samsung Note or Galaxy phone a couple of years ago that was exploding.
The recalls were due to your bad oil that you threw in
No,
that car?
not bad oil. I'm just giving a different example,
I know, I got you. Go ahead,
right? Right, but you know, it's to shed light on the fact that sometimes there is knowledge that something isn't
You
the
can
way
take
that
it from,
it's,
yeah.
and it's then a decision, a moral decision, I would say, as to whether or not to ditch it or continue
Yeah.
selling it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you took that experience from that and just mixed it into a whole nother thing, but you still see it. It still
Right.
has the same ideas, but it's a different thing.
Right, and honestly, my business has evolved into what it is today from listening to my customers. So I started
There's
off
that word,
organized.
listen again.
Yes,
Yeah.
listen. It's so important because they will always tell you what they actually want. I don't care how much research you do. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, talk to them, get that firsthand knowledge because they'll always tell you what they want.
And that's how you sell, you know. That's how
Exactly.
you present them with what they want. Here, this is what you want. This is what you need. I don't have what you don't want. You ever use that? Am I right?
Right? No, you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do we go from here? What do you want people to know?
What I want people to know, if I can talk about my book a little
Sure.
bit here. So it's the reason it's called Behind the Facade is, again, and facade is not necessarily a bad thing, but there's so much emphasis that we place sometimes on making ourselves look good and our companies look good on the outside, and that's definitely something that you have to do.
Yeah.
But when the spotlight is actually shown on your business, can you actually handle the growth that comes along with that? So with you having your successful background in TV and radio, when people come onto your shows, what if all of a sudden they have a surge in business? Can they actually deliver on that? And if you can't, this book can actually tell you how to get your operational systems in place to be able to support that kind of growth.
Thank you.
And that's your copy, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I said thank you too soon. But yes, and people need to know.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can get those things in line so that you can operate
Right.
functionally.
Yes. And so I'd like to make an offer to your
Audience?
viewers, your audience,
Sure.
if I may. So if they connect with me on LinkedIn, you can find me at Alicia Butler Pierre. I will give them a free chapter from the book that actually highlights specific details on how they can start to get that business
Export at that
infrastructure.
camera right there. You have to
Okay.
go to what, Pierre?
Connect with me on LinkedIn. Look for me, Alicia Butler Pierre. Mention BronxNet TV, and I will send you a free chapter from my book that will actually get you on the road to starting your business infrastructure for your
Whoa,
company.
there you go.
Yes, they
All
have
right.
to mention BronxNet TV.
So if they want to be rich, want to make
If
some
you want to
money.
be successful, yes, and have longevity in business, because so
Uh-huh.
many, we always hear these statistics about how many small businesses don't make it to their
Yeah.
5th year.
Okay. So you can go there, and then you have a website? People can
Yes,
go?
there is a website. It's eqbsystems.com, and my podcast, you can find that at businessinfrastructure.tv.
Thank you for stopping by. You're going to
Thank you
stop
for
by
having
more?
me.
And they can get this
I
where?
hope so. Anywhere
Barnes and
books
Noble?
yes, anywhere books are sold, actually. So
Amazon, Barnes and Noble?
Amazon, Barnes and
iTunes?
Noble, Books A Million. It's available on Kindle as well, so there's an ebook version as well.
Thank you so much. Give her a big hand, everybody. Alicia Butler Pierre, founder and CEO,
Thank
Equilibria Incorporated. Let's take a quick break right here, and we'll come back with more next.